Howdy folks, welcome to the Daily Coin. My name is Rory and today is Sunday, September the 16th, 2018. And I'm very excited and I have the great honor of welcoming to the show the president and CEO of an incredible gold venture company called Harvest Gold. And I'm speaking of Mr. Rick Mart, and he is a venture capitalist, for lack of a better term. He's been out raising money for the past 30 years and looking at different projects, and he's been quite successful. He's raised about $85 million over the course of the 30 years, and this latest venture that he's involved with, which is Harvest Gold, and you can find them listed on the Toronto Venture Exchange under the symbol HVG. And Rick, welcome to the Daily Coin.
Thanks, Rory. Great to be here.
Well, I'm glad that you're here, and like I said, I just kind of went over the high marks of your bio, and it's right there on the screen if people want to take a look and get a little bit more in depth about what you've been able to do in the past. I like where gold is right now, and I'm not ashamed to say so. It doesn't scare me. And I'm not concerned at all about, low gold prices, or I call it an acquisition cost because it's an exchange. I'm exchanging fiat for money, but I kind of like gold where it is right now because I'm able to acquire a lot more for my needs, and I kind of like that. One of the things that has been written about quite a bit over the past couple of weeks, Rick, has been the gold-silver ratio. And with you being in the position that you're in, you see gold coming out of the ground and you see silver coming out of the ground. And right now, the ratio is about 9 to 1. It's about 9 ounces of silver to 1 ounce of gold. Maybe a little bit higher, a little bit lower than that, but that's roughly where it is. And how does that play into today's market, or does it? I mean, because right now it's about 85 to 1 or something like that, or that was the last that I heard anyway. And does the gold silver ratio, does it play in today's market? Does it matter anymore?
Well, I think if you're a producer or you're trying to fund a deposit that may come into production, then those things are really important because against the cost of production, you need to have clarity on what you're going to get out of that deposit.
Okay.
But when we're at the exploration end of the gold mine, in other words, we're at the very beginning of the work. We're at a point where we're about to start drilling. So we don't know what's in the ground. We know what's on the ground. We've learned a little bit through our sampling and through our rock channeling and through our geochemistry that tells us there is gold here and there is silver here. It's one of the cool things about the story. We have a silver target and a gold target. We'll be drilling both by the end of the month. And by the time that deposit shapes, if we're fortunate enough to be successful in our discovery, gold and silver will have different prices and different ratios, and all of our shareholders will be beginning to look at those things then, Rory. Right now, what we're able to do is say, we're at the very front end of this value building proposition. Can we find an ore body? Could we find a silver ore body and a gold ore body? And if we get what we might call mineable grades in our drilling, the market will respond, and the stock will go up, and we'll then get a chance to start building those ore bodies out. And then the conversation of ratios and prices really starts to matter when you value your ore body. By then, all our shareholders are thrilled to death because the stock has gone sky high on discovery. So it's an interesting conversation. I think it's fundamental for those people who are looking at projects that are further along the development scale. Not as important for those that are looking at what we call a discovery drilling investment, which is what Harvest Gold is all about right now.
Okay. And there's another on a little bit bigger picture, Rick. The Shanghai Gold Exchange, it came on to came onto the scene a few years ago to a lot of fanfare. They brought a lot of hope and a lot of promise to kind of being a balance, if you will, to the COMEX and the LBMA, and maybe hopefully trying to rein some of this in as far as what's going on with those two markets, which has been less than favorable to most people out there trading with gold and silver. And that all seems to have faded a little bit. I mean, how do you see the Shanghai Gold Exchange, or do you see this having an impact on the future of the gold markets? I mean, or is it what do you think is happening with that in light of everything that's happening in our world today?
Well, I must tell you, I do not follow it. I can say this generally about our world today. It's kind of sad and a little bit scary when people who are looking for a move in the gold price really are expecting something catastrophic to happen. Typically, gold is that hedge, that protection, as you mentioned earlier, even against inflation. Since inflation's kind of been under control with the money supply being so loose for so many years, and the very strong U.S. dollar to fight against gold price growth, it's hard to know whether manipulation goes on, and that's why the gold price stays low. And so whether or not the Shanghai exchange has made an impact or had a chance to make an impact, I'm not sure. And I must say, I just don't focus on it because in our game, we focus on discovery. And we can make people a lot of money with discovery, whether gold's at 1,200 or 2,000.
Okay.
And one of the interesting things I've come to understand right now, it's very difficult to raise money with gold at $1,200 for us juniors. People are not as interested in gold and silver exploration now because of that price. So the irony is, when we've actually got money and we're actually going to be drilling, we're going to get more attention. We're going to get more attention because we're still discovery drilling. And so I like that. At this point, I'm happy to be drilling in a $1,200 gold environment because, again, the discovery end of the arc of wealth creation in these small companies is the most steep. That's where the spike comes. And having been there before, Rory, I mentioned to you earlier that I've been involved with two companies that have taken tremendous runs, one in copper, one in nickel. And both of them one went from 6 cents to $1.80, one went from 6 cents to 68 cents. And so that's the kind of return that discovery drilling gets. And at that point, copper was reasonably bullish, nickel, okay. And now we're in a low gold price environment. Won't matter. If we are hitting high-grade gold or high-grade silver in our drilling coming up in September, October, it won't matter. Our stock price will go up, and it's going to be fun. That's what we're hoping for.
Yeah, and the majors, the Newmonts, the Barricks, these guys, the Ignacio, they are kind of hurting for new mines. So I would think that somebody like yourself that's doing the discovery part, that would be extremely attractive for them, and in particular with gold at this low valuation. Or am I wrong?
No, I think you're right. I think the problem for them is right now there isn't enough exploration to keep filling their needs in their gold portfolios. That's why you see mergers. Our joint venture partner, Evrim Resources, EVM, Esther Victor Mother, is a project generator. They're working with mid-caps. They're working with Coeur. They're working with Antofagasta. They just did a joint venture with Newmont. Newmont came in and put $7 million into our partner's treasury to have a piece of their last 100% owned property, a Mexican property. They haven't even drilled it yet.
Wow.
So Newmont's coming in on a pre-drill basis on a pre-drilled basis, Rory. So
Wow.
the big guys are definitely looking for gold. They don't have exploration arms anymore. So every drill program that's in any neighborhood of interest to them is going to be watched closely. And as I think you know, our property is sitting in the middle of a belt in Mexico, the Sierra Madre belt, where there's mines for miles and miles north and south. I mean, this is a geological structure that hosts ore bodies, and that's why we're there, of course. So we're really excited to get drilling.
Yeah, I imagine that you guys have quite a few eyes on what you guys have going on, especially since you're going to be starting the drill process here within the next 2 to 3 weeks. I mean, they got to be watching you.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's great for your listeners because I'm sure most of them never heard of a little company like Harvest Gold, but this is the time when the opportunity is right in front of everyone. Drills are coming. We know that the property is prospective. The background on the story is fabulous. As I say, we tick all the boxes, and I think we've reduced the risk as much as you can. These are long shots. We all know that. That's why the reward is so high. But the elements of the story, the elements of the opportunity are as they should be for discovery investors.
If you don't mind, Rick, I want to speculate just for a minute, and this is based on some of the research that I've been doing for the past year or so. And gold we've been talking about where gold is sitting, right around $1,200 right now. But I have projections between 2021 and 2023, somewhere in that time frame, for gold and silver both to make very significant moves due to market conditions that have been unfolding over the past decade. I mean, and a big part of what I'm looking at is what we were just talking about as far as the major gold producers not having any exploration. They don't have any, period. But people still need gold. They still want gold, and they're going to get it. So I don't see how the market can hold together these low prices very much longer. I mean, what does your short term look like? What does the short term look like from your perspective in regards to that? I mean, I'm not asking for any prices or anything like that. I mean, do you see what I'm seeing, or am I just out in the woods wandering around?
Well, yeah, it's not something I spend a lot of my time on because our focus is really finding the best place to drill and then raising the money and then go drill it. And we know that if we're successful with our drilling and we find ore grade intersections, we're all going to make some money. I think, like every commodity, gold has got to come back. I mean, I see it as in a low point. As I mentioned earlier, there just hasn't been much inflation in the Western world, and the U.S. dollar continues to be so strong with the U.S. economy running that it may be a while till it comes back, but it has to. And it's all a matter of investment timeframes. And gold's always been a hedge, and it may be against inflation or it may be against catastrophe, but it's a hedge. So for those people that are gold bugs, you could say that this is the kind of buying opportunity that makes sense. At some point, it's got to come back. In the meantime, in our little life right now, we're drilling a month from now, and it just so happens gold's around $1,200. Well, that's okay as long as we can hit ore grade intersections. We can make people lots of money with drill success.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter if it's in the mining sector or if it's a gold in your safe. If that's your goal is to increase your wealth, then there you go.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
I mean, I think that's most of our, I think that's most people's goal is to increase their wealth so that they can better take care of their family. So, I really like what you guys are doing with these projects that you have going on, Rick. And the one that you've got going on in Mexico that you just briefly touched on, that's setting in, it looks like it looks like a river almost of these gold mines. And the project that you guys have that are working on is sitting right in the middle of it. And this is the project that you guys are starting to develop, or this is the one that you're bringing the drill rigs in to. Is that right?
That's correct. Right now, so the drill rigs are getting set up right now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in the middle of elephant country, as they say. That's kind of the common term. There's lots of mines all up and down this geological structure. So it's absolutely mine country. So what you have is a property that we have confirmed has high-grade gold and silver, and we've confirmed that through sampling and channeling and geochemistry. It's got size. The gold field is very large that we're going to attack.
It
But
looks
more
like it.
importantly, the property has size. It's 69 square kilometers, and only 40% of it has ever been walked by anybody.
Oh,
So
my
this
goodness.
property was discovered because Evrim, our joint venture partner, just did a deal with Newmont on one of their properties for us. So these guys,
Okay.
all of their other partners are mid-size or major gold companies, except for us. So because of we were introduced to them. They trusted us. They believed we could raise the money. They believed that we could effectively get this project to a drill stage, which we've done. We're about to have them start talking about us by the end of the month, which is really good because they've got a huge following now around the world, especially with Newmont just giving them $7 million to look at their one and only 100% owned property. So our partner, who is going to be doing the drilling, we have a successful, qualified Mexico experienced partner. So that's great confidence.
Okay.
The discovery was made by Shanghai, who has huge minds in his background. I mean, these geologists, their life is to discover an ore body. And Shanghai, as you'll see in that, has discovered more than one. He loves this property. He's the guy who brought it to Evrim and said, we have to have it. And we were fortunate enough to get it. So that leads to kind of where I fit in. I've had, we're only focusing on the two companies, VMS Ventures and North American Nickel. But as I said, one financed 6 cents, Discovery went to $1.80. One financed 6 cents, drill hole went to 68 cents. So that's the kind of promise we're making in terms of what could happen here. So we're talking more about this being a discovery drilling investment. It's a discovery investment. The fact that it's gold, the first one we did with VMS was copper. The second one we did with North American Nickel was nickel and Greenland. Both of them won. The fact that they were different commodities is not the main issue. The issue is that we were able to discover mineable grades of that commodity in an environment where it's expected you would find it. One was in a volcanic, massive sulfide field in Manitoba. Yes, we're looking for copper. We found it. One was in a undiscovered nickel belt, massive, huge nickel belt in Greenland of all places. Yes, we found it. Now we're in a gold-silver belt called the Sierra Madre belt, which runs down the center of Mexico, where there's tons of mines, as you'll see in that little map on the webpage. So once again, we're in elephant hunting ground. There's nobody arguing that. We're in a place where you can find these things. We've got a large property with evidence of high grade and size, and it's never been drilled. That's the amazing thing about this. Usually these kind of deals, you get a chance at them after they've been drilled by others, and they said, no, we can't find enough. This is an undrilled property in a belt filled with mines. It's hard to believe you can even get that shot. So the final piece of the story has been, and Rick, myself, I've done it before. So my shareholders in my world have made this big win on discovery. So the gold price, just to give you my summary on that, I take the position that the lower gold price is an advantage today to the explorer, in this case Harvest, who actually has the money to drill. It's been a bitch to raise the money. It's been awful because the traditional gold, silver exploration brokers are in marijuana, they're in cobalt, they're in blockchain, and they walked away from gold and silver while gold's at $1,200. But the fact that Newmont just did a deal with Evrim for $7 million pre-drilling tells you the big guys are desperate for gold, and they are not exploring at all. So I take the position, Rory, that's an advantage for us. The fact that we did get the money in this very difficult environment puts us on a much smaller set of explorers out there actually drilling, because nobody can raise the money. So in my view, that $1,200 gold becomes an advantage to Harvest, because if we're successful and we show high grade in our drill results, the whole world will be there in a heartbeat. And just the companies that Evrim works with, we're 1 degree of separation. I mean, it's Antofagasta, it's Coeur, it's Newmont, and one more that's slipping my mind right now. But they have 4 mid-sized and major companies as partners already. So we're 1 degree of separation from someone buying this if we're successful at developing an ore body here on the property. So it's a long shot, of course. That's the way things go. But at this point, when drilling is going to be at the end of the month, and all of those elements of the story are part of the story, the land, the discoverer, it hasn't been drilled, it's got high grade, it's in an area where there's mines. The guys running the deal are absolutely superb at their work in Mexico. And my shareholders have seen this happen twice in their life and have had 10, 20, 25 times return on their investment at this point in the deal. That's kind of the story. So it's very positive, and it's kind of exciting, and it's a gamble. We all get that. But how often do all those pieces come together and present themselves?
Yeah, I'm looking at this map of Evrim right now, and man, you are smack dab in the middle of a chain, and that is, I can see why people would be looking at you and wanting to partner with you, and probably gonna take this property away from you. I mean, at the right price. I don't mean they're going to steal it, but I mean,
exactly.
they're going to.
That's the goal on these things, right? We're not going to be producers at all.
I mean, I'd be shocked if somebody doesn't. If Newmont or Barrick or Rand or one of these guys doesn't come along and because they've been in trouble for years. They haven't had any good discoveries for a long time, and their top producing mines are running shallow at this point. They have had to high grade them. They've had to do everything, and I agree wholeheartedly that one of the people that's on your team, Patrick Donnelly, who I love the way he thinks. I love his approach to business. I've interviewed him on a number of occasions, and he told me probably 3 years ago that the best thing for low gold prices is low gold prices. And that's exactly what you're saying. That is the best thing that can happen, is because it allows people to come into it. Unfortunately, what's happening, like you just said, is that some of the investors, some of the venture capital money has gone into blockchain and cannabis and various other ventures that are out there that are available now. I think that some of that money is going to have to come back into gold. It's going to have to come back into the mining sector, because those guys want to make money. It's entirely too stressed at this point for it to not break out. I mean, everything is low. I mean, everything.
Yeah.
Or am I wrong?
Well, and I guess my point, and I know a lot of guys, and you're one of them, live in this space where the gold price is kind of a focus, because the traditional hedge with gold has been challenged. Nobody can quite figure out what the metric is. I believe, and for what it's worth, which ain't much, is that the strong U.S. dollar just keeps holding it down, and that's just all there is to it. Now, again, I sort of take the discussion away from the gold price and back to what the value of discovery is. And I think the point I made earlier, that the fact that gold price is making it so difficult for people to raise money to explore, the few explorers out there who are drilling are going to have a lot more eyeballs on their discovery. And we've learned, based on the Newmont deal that Everett just did, they are coming earlier than ever. So it's kind of a good time to bet on gold and silver explorers because there's fewer of them now. Let's make sure that all the things we like and expect in terms of the risk factors are taken into account. And as I say to people all the time, this particular story ticks every single box you would expect. It's in a political jurisdiction that works. It's in a geological jurisdiction that works. It's got excellent operators. It's got management that's done it before, unequivocally done it before, and can prove it as we do. And a public company that cares about marketing, as obviously we are, so that people will broaden the story. And obviously, on the ground, we've shown there's high-grade gold and silver potential here. So every single box is ticked, Rory. And that's kind of the pounding message I have about, if you like exploration shots, if you understand the risk reward in discovery drilling, then this is a hell of a deal to own.
Yes, I agree. The fact that you guys have the 69 square meters,
square kilometers,
kilometers,
huge,
69.
Huge property.
It's massive, and you are doing a 3,000 meter drill, initial drill program.
That's just the first drill program, 15 holes.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it's a shot. We're targeting. I've got 4 geologists together, 3 from Everett, 1 from us. They all agreed on the targets. I'd never seen that before. It took only 4 hours. Wow. So there's consensus on what we know about the property, where we should drill, all that stuff. And and the great thing about it is you're telling your listeners about it literally within 3 weeks of drilling starting.
Yeah, because that's why I made that comment earlier about you guys being aggressive, because September 11th you guys released, did a press release, and you're saying that by the end of September that you're going to have a drill in the ground. I mean, that's, like you said, within 3 weeks.
That time is awesome.
And I presume that these samples that you're going to get are going to produce your 43-101.
Well, that'll come after the drilling. That's another phase. And again, what I try to remind people, if you look at sort of discovery charts, the biggest money is made almost always in the initial discovery. And if the stock runs to 50 cents and you bought it at 8 cents, sell the stock. Christ, what are you doing? Because what happens then is it may go to $1 over the next 6 months because we keep drilling successfully. But by the time a 43-101 comes out, typically you're now stopping and you're evaluating, and the market is evaluating, and you're doing this for bigger money or the guys who might want to buy you. The time you want to play this is pre-43-101, when just the high-grade results drive it and the speculators drive it. I mean, look at Royal Nickel, RNX this week. They found a huge boulder in Australia with all kinds of gold in it, like ridiculously large. And they traded, 50 million, 40 million, all that kind of stuff. So when you get a hit, the world comes with you. And that's a time when, again, you have to decide, why am I in this company? Am I in this company because I think they're going to sell this property to a major? Well, they might, if that first drill hole that tantalizes the market turns out that it's hit an ore body. Sometimes it's not an ore body. So by the time you get to a 43-101, it's a different kind of investment conversation, Roy.
Gotcha. So now is the primo time to get in.
This is the time, if you're looking for that spike that is discovery drilling, you do it now. If you invest after the discovery, you may feel a little more secure because now there's some gold in the ground, but you still don't know if it's a deposit, and you still don't know if it's a mine. So people that start imagining a mine at this early stage are missing the point. I mean, that's a great thing for us as a company, because that means for the next 2 years, we'll be busy as hell building an asset and then selling it And all of us who are inside, who are going to be around that whole time, are happy with that. But halfway through, you're dealing with institutional investors. It's a whole different audience. All the speculators are gone. You know, this is for the risk takers who have seen the spikes and know what discovery means to a small company. That's exactly what we're talking about. That's not your style. If that's not what you like, then you would never think of investing in Harvest.
Right. If it's a little, if you're a little bit more conservative, then probably not for you. And you like that risk reward, like you said, then this is definitely sounds like this might be for you. It sounds like you guys have everything in order. Everything is moving exactly the way that it should be. I mean, if people want to get involved, I mean, right now you need to go to harvestgoldcorp.com. It's harvestgoldcorp.com. Check out what they're doing, and it's trading on the Toronto Venture Exchange under the symbol HVG. Now, what about the Evrim resources? Are they partnered with you guys? Is that right?
That's right. They own the property. We can earn up to 80% of the property. E. Edward V. Victor M. Mother Resources is also trading on the venture. They're called a project generator. They have several properties in Mexico, and they are the operator, which is fantastic for us because that means we as a company don't have to build our own GOT. We let Evrim do that. Someone said to me, well, when can you be an operator? So we get to phase 2 of the agreement. We can, but why would we? These guys are in Mexico. They've made discoveries in Mexico. We are delighted to have them as our operator. We feel very comfortable that that's the best case scenario for our shareholders. So Evrim's an important part of it, and it's worth taking a look at them as well, just to make sure you understand the depth and strength that we have on the operating side when we get drilling down at Cerro Cascaron.
Like I said a minute ago, go to harvestgoldcorp.com/home and check out what they have going on. And you will see some links in the description box below the video that will take you to some reports that have been put together around this property, and we'll give you a lot more information than what we're able to give you here. But it's Rick, this has been a great conversation, and I'm really excited for you guys, and I wish you nothing but success going forward. And I'm sure that you guys are going to be quite successful, and I hope that we can get you back on after you guys get some of these get some of this drilling done.
Well, I'd be delighted to come back and talk to you because that's kind of the follow-up that everybody wants to hear. Certainly, if they want to follow the company, there's a sign-up instructions on the website. I tend to send people on our email list our news releases with a comment or two from me. Often they're non-geologists. Most often investors are non-geologists like me. I try to help people understand the meaning of things that we put out that are more technical, and keep a conversation going with folks so that they kind of understand the process we're going through. It's a small company, but it's a big business, and it requires us doing things the right way. And we're publicly traded, which means the regulators are part of our life, and I think we know how to manage all of that to our shareholders' advantage. So it's, just in summary, Rory, it's a gamble, absolutely. But what we've tried to do is minimize the risks along the way, get people absolutely clear on the opportunity, how we're going to approach it, when we're going to approach it. And one of the great things about people understanding, or at least being introduced to Harvest at this point, is it's so close to this drill project. And, as I say to everybody, fingers crossed. I mean, we know what we're targeting. We're looking at a very prospective piece of ground here. And with good luck, we've got a chance to make a discovery, and that means all of our shareholders are going to be very happy investors.
I'm going to be following it very closely. I can assure you of that, and see how it manifests. And I think that it looks really good to me. So, and I'm very very excited about what's going on, and I can't wait to see how it manifests over the course of the next month, because I think that when you guys start putting the drill in the ground, that it's going to be fireworks.
Let's hope so.
That's what it
I
looks
hope
like.
so. Wouldn't that be fun?
That would be great. Well, we've been speaking with Rick Mark, who is the president and CEO of Harvest Gold, and you can find out a lot more about what's going on with Harvest Gold at harvestgoldcorp.com. And if you go to harvestgoldcorp.com/home, you will find one of the reports. And like I said, there's links in the description box below that'll take you to other reports. And you can find them on the Toronto Venture Exchange under the symbol HVG. Rick, thank you so much for all your time today. This has been great, and I'm very excited, and I look forward to speaking with you in the future.
Thanks, Rory.